Welcome back once again. I'm so glad you joined us for another Hardcore Vanilla Minecraft play session. I'm Hambbage, and I'm glad you dropped by. So here we go. Let's kick off what is a very special episode. This is number 150. Can you believe it? Those of you guys that have been watching for the entire duration of this world, you guys know how questionable at times that seemed for us to get here, but we made it, and but that doesn't mean we've made it anywhere yet. Really, we're still really just babes in the woods here, and we've got a long, long way to go. So what are we currently up to? What have we been doing? Well, as a special treat for episode 150, we're going to stand and wait for some creepers to fall and use them to repair our elytra. I know it's not the most riveting of ways to start an episode, but as you can see, they fill pretty quick. That was just from the load that we had as we were wrapping up the last episode. So we should get through pretty quickly, and it'll give us a chance to sort through some of our inventory here. Where is our consumables box? Alright, let's put the boats away. We can go ahead and pull this one and put the rockets away. We're going to want that. Then, setting another... Don't I have... Yeah, here it is. Didn't I have a... So let's go ahead and make use of our fancy new green shulkers. Typically, as I talked about when we first set these up, we'll use those for any mining proceeds that we're working to gather up. But in this case, we're really not out mining anything. And even when we can set up for our raids, we won't have a ton of work to do. So we won't have a ton of like stacks of stuff coming out of the raid. What we will have is a bunch of different random loot stuff, because in addition to a handful of totems and a short handful, they're not going to be overly prolific. We should also expect to get some like emeralds, diamonds, maybe some enchanted stuff, some bottles of enchanting, I think is what they are. So just a variety of stuff, and then there'll be lots of just random this and that's as well. So having one of the lime green shulkers just to pick that stuff up, since we're not really going mining, should be plenty to keep us organized. Now, honestly, yeah, I probably should have just picked a different one. That way, if wherever we end up finding the circumstances to have our raid, then if we want to go mining or whatever, we're right there and ready. But it won't be that big a deal. I don't anticipate a ton of that. Never know, though. Now we are much more ready for everything, and the new colors and stuff will help keep us that way. Let's sleep now while we've got a chance. So I'm back even a little quicker than I'd anticipated in my break. I still got up, kind of moved around a little bit indoors and refreshed my water. It's still working on the same coffee. I've got another one ready to go, but none of when it's hot out, none of that stuff goes, right? It's like It's like eating. Does anybody really want to eat a lot when it's hot out? It's, kind of light salad type stuff, maybe some fruit, with a dairy. And then I did the other day, a while back. Oh, this reminds me, I should finish up an old story too. But so the other day I did go to the grocery store, and while I was there, wasn't really looking for anything too specific, but I'd hoped to get some chicken breasts. And again, they didn't have the kind that I wanted to get, so I was kind of stymied there. But I ended up just kind of spur of the moment, was like, it's hot. I don't want to cook or anything, and I got one of the like pre-prepared grilled chickens or roasted chickens. I guess they're not grilled, but like the whole chicken, and they kind of sell them with the pre-prepared fried chickens, and they're not the healthiest or the cheapest option, but sometimes you gotta give yourself a little treat of, hey, I'm not gonna have to cook, and for a single person that lasts quite a bit. I don't go too heavy on the animal stuff. So, um, yeah, I had that. I've kind of been picking away at, and just like keep it in the fridge so it's not even like reheated. It's just like some cold chicken, a little salad, lots of fluids, and just get through it until tomorrow's supposed to be hot, and then going into the weekend it gets real nice again. So you just got to hold out a little bit longer. But and then this is early, right? So that's the other part, is this is what we typically have in like July and August. So if it's just a taste of what's coming, then we can go. And last night when I was outside, I looked up and the moon's kind of a sliver. That everybody should be seeing that, so you guys can all relate. But um, when I stepped outside, I didn't know to be looking for it. I was like, man, that moon looks a little orangish. What don't I know about? And sure enough, there's a fire like way over on the kind of the northwestern corner of Colorado. Nothing big, nothing like last year yet. But again, it's really early for that kind of stuff. Um, so we're gonna cut through the Nether on our way back to our base. We're gonna see if that Enderman is still mad. If he is, we'll probably just have to wish him well and send him on his way. We really don't get much of an outdoor chance here, but if there's a compliant ghast, I'd love to knock out. I've gone this way in a while. Love to knock out another advancement here while we're in here. But doesn't seem that way. I don't want to go all the way to the Badlands, so we'll call it good. We tried, and that's not going anywhere. We're gonna have lots of gas fun. We haven't even pulled our gas back to the overworld for battling, so still loads to do. But here's our return, and a little continuation. Last time we flew around and kind of talked a little bit. So this was our initial portal. This comes out of our base. Over here is the lodge. We boated past that. Back that way is where we just came through. That is our darkroom spawner, and our end portal room is down that way and over a little bit. And way down that way is the 117 chunks portal that we made. And the one that we had just been walking on took us to a Badlands biome that we found by boating early in the game. So there you have it, the 150 nickel tour. Now we do want to be somewhat on guard. We might get assaulted coming upstairs, but honestly, Endaround was kind of cool. He was a good friend for Guava. I'm sorry I looked at him with a telescope, but he didn't let me sleep in my upstairs bed because he was a monster and was too close, and ultimately just got in the way. So if he's still hostile whenever we come around, I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time. So here's the thought. I don't know why I was so quick to put all this stuff away, because while we were coming right back here, we weren't going to linger. So we got two new sets of wings. We'll wear one. Now watch, this is when he shows up. All right, now still trying to get the timing of that off where I don't. That was only 3 rockets, and that's actually pretty good because you want to get up in the air. But the whole like double jump, single rocket, I don't have that timing down. No apologies. Now this, I mean, I know I haven't been here in a long time, but come on, game, let's load these chunks a little quicker, huh? Okay, okay. Now, I thought this is kind of the continuation of the swamp. Our end portal is back beyond it, another biome. Somewhere along the way here. And just to show, up in the upper left, 117, 117. So these are all old chunks, which tells me that there is nothing that would then tell us whether or not we are in new or old chunks, other than just purely exploring and seeing what content is down there. But I could have sworn somewhere in these mountains there's like a gravelly mountains area over here, and I thought we had skirted away from, because at the time it was a little scary, a pillager outpost. I know we've seen them somewhere, but we've explored a lot in this world relative, because we went so far looking for that Badlands that I don't recall at all. And because they're, every world is different, this helps to show that. And things that are common in one world can be scarce in another. And in this case, we got villages coming out of our ears, but we don't have much at all in the way of pillager outposts. Coming back out to our sea, I believe. Oh, there it is. All right. Okay, so we have that. Now, the question is, do we want to improvise a village? Or just 230, 2500, 230, 25, 2600, 280, 2600. Let's call it that. 280, 2600, 280, 2600, 280, 2600. Now, I think we get pretty close pretty quick to Salty's village. Yeah. This is where we found Salty. Right around here. Almost lost him. Here's our igloo guys over here. Come on. Be stingy. We'll come over and spend the night with these guys. What's this? The entrance? Creative stylings there. All right, so sentimentality says I don't want to use that village. Do I? I don't have a boat around. Do I have a nice island? I don't recall a nice like islandy village. Right around here, do I? What do I do with those boats? Of course, they're consumable. Remember how long that seemed? Man, with a flight, it's just like nothing at all. I mean, what are we, like 16 minutes into our episode, and we've already repaired tools, found a tower, and set it up. So we can breed up a couple, or just borrow villagers from Saltyville, we'll call it, and trot them on over to the island kind of right off that pillager thing, which would be the easiest, really. With those Plains Islands, we've got lots of space to work with. I think that's what we're gonna kind of do. And what we'll try to set up is a nice area for them where they can be safe. And I'm not making a farm. I don't think we're gonna need that many raids, for one thing. And seems just kind of like, okay, so that's still a village. It just seems like a lot of work, to do it, unless you're, it. As I've said, I'm a big fan of John Bam's. I enjoy his live stream stuff, and when he came back to Hardcore Vanilla Minecraft from his modding stuff, really boosted a lot of interest. And at that time, I hadn't even been aware of who he was, but I, for years, had periodically searched on YouTube, because I like watching people play while I play. Love and that's why I like the long format. I love to be playing a world and have something going on in the background for a little bit of noise, a little bit of something that I can be watching, but you don't have to hang on every second of Minecraft, right? There's a lot of stuff in there, and that I think that's part of why Hardcore Vanilla really appeals to me, is that there are a lot of those repeat opportunities. So here's what we're thinking, or what we're going to look at. We could go as far out as here and put it on that little island, but that feels a little bit more cheaty to me. Like maybe we're doing a bit of a disservice. But this, we'd be able to just kind of run the back and forth whenever we're ready to trigger. Can still have a little bit of a deal. And I think We're going to go ahead and bring this down. I mean, there's not that much here, right? We'll get some dirt. We got lots of shulker boxes. Everything will be flat. We'll be able to see everything. We'll put up a couple structures, hopefully to keep our villagers and ourselves safe, and call it good. So let's get to work. I don't, at least at this point, I don't even think we need a beacon. Maybe when we get down into stone. I mean, it's not going to speed up anything with our dirt. Our durability is good. And we're basically just trying to minimize hiding spots or sticking spots. And you can hear those zombies, so somewhere we've got a little bit of a cave or something. I just want to get all that eliminated. I apologize, that's a little loud. Let's see if we can back down the audio here just a bit for the time being. We'll try to remember to bring it back up when we have the actual raid. But I don't want that blasting out everybody. Hopefully that's a little... I still think that's a little loud. Let's try again. And this may just be... Actually, that may be in the recording. I don't know if that's what's coming through to me. Let's go through the... ambient environment, maybe? This is why I don't typically do that. Hey, I think you guessed right. What? Come on. And don't worry, we can... if needed, I think we got 2 ready to go shovels, right? I'm pretty sure we used a netherite to set up a backup shovel because we use enough of it for sand and those kinds of resources as well. So we should have 2, and we've got a bunch of nether quartz back home. So if we wear these down, we can flip and do a very quick repair. I was just kind of thinking, as I'm sitting here quietly not talking after trying to adjust all the volume. Let's sort these here. I was kind of kicking around some fun, I think fun ideas for trying to put all the random. Let's get everything dealt with here. I have not been good about this at all. So, much like, a wither fight or anything else, I'd kind of like to straight up fight the raid for the first one. No unfair advantages. Now, okay, this is the first one. I want to set it. Take all of you back. Put all of you in. Put all of you random stuff in there. Alright, very good. Now, here we should have the other shovel whenever we need that. Here we got the bed. Let's sleep. So I was thinking, I want to have a pretty straight fight. We'll have our golems to support us just as a part of the advancements, right? The hired help is having golems, so I think that's just pretty normal. If it was a regular old village, we'd definitely have have golems running around anyway. So I don't think we're anything there, but I was thinking, like, hey, it's not that much fun to dig out a whole hill all the way down to flat. And what if, in kind of the same spirit that we have, particularly England, but I think all over Europe, you have the remains of old dirt hill forts, right? These were the Mott and Bailey type castles, or the Mott. And forgive me if I'm wrong here. I'm not certain, but I believe the Mott is the dirt hill where initially people would, for common defense, pull together and gather up these massive hills, or cut out massive hills on otherwise flat plains of dirt for visibility and security. Anybody that wants to attack them then has to climb the hill, and if you see a significant army or horde of barbarians or whatever coming at you and starting to climb the hill, you can warn them, and if they don't back up, you can start shooting arrows at them, and they have to focus on climbing the hill. And then you can put a stone palisade around the edge of the hill, so then when they're balancing on the top of the hill, now they've got to deal with getting through a wood fence too. So it can be it's easy to dismiss, like, oh, that was very primitive, once you see a bunch of much later stone castles sitting around. But for the technology and the weapons that were being brought to bear against them, they were very effective at providing security to the residents, whoever was in those places. So we could affect something pretty similar here by kind of carving away this hill and limiting the amount of access points. And then what I was really thinking is then we could kind of see about using the trapdoors idea that we use with the creepers and the darkroom spawner, kind of make some pit traps and trick them into to walk and run off the edges of them, getting raids stuck. It still wouldn't be like an automated farm, but we'd have some easy access killing, where we wouldn't have to worry as much about them having just free reign at us. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is we'll make them some limited access paths up even now, and kind of retain the original shape here, but instead of just digging all this down to level, we'll just kind of keep this as a plane and make the hill around inaccessible by dropping off the edges, and then give them some ramps to come up. So if they want to get to us, they got to come up, and we can then concentrate our efforts on the ramps. Sound good? Good. I'm glad. And then after our first fight, which will just kind of be a heyday, whatever happens, let's fight them. Then we can kind of fortify a little bit more, set up some directing, some countermeasures and that kind of stuff, and work it towards being a manageable system. So that's what are my thoughts. And that way that will come. Of course, we've got a cave that we're going to have to deal with, it sounds like. Okay. Now, when the raiders come, they're not going to. They won't have any association to that. That's where we have to go to get the bad omen. But the raiders are going to, and the waves of raids, for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, raid is a series of those kinds of pillagers with increasing difficulty and numbers coming at you time after time after time, and they spawn around the village, so they have nothing to do with that orientation. You may as well get guys coming up from here or over there as you would from that area. Just random chance, I guess, for each wave. But I think it does try to mix up where they come from. Now, that's where you get into pushing this towards farms, is by limiting the available spaces where they can spawn. You can really manage, you can effectively put them all onto a platform, and then water force or whatever you want to down into a killing chamber, and all of a sudden you've got effectively a darkroom spawner for raids. I don't think we need to go to all that trouble. We're not going to be doing this every day by any means, but it's fun to play with, and it would be cool to kind of get started on another settlement that has this purpose of it's not the lodge, it's not our local convenient traders that we want to trade with. Not that we're doing a ton of trading anymore, but it's got some villagers. We've got a vested interest in it. We can kind of build it up as a fort, and it kind of builds out that life of our world. That here we have so I think this, I just wanted to define our corner, and I think this will be the ramp wherever that becomes. Oh, no, I can't see. Aww. I hope that turns back into dirt. I don't really want to. Again, we got to get through one raid, and then we'll have a chance to, maybe make some stone walls around this area with a wooden palisade up on top. And kind of have a little siege warfare. Again, I don't want to automate it to the point that the occasional times I have raids, I'm not fighting. I want to, that's something we increasingly have too little of as you move later into the game content. So I definitely want to have this as a place to do some pitched battles and that kind of stuff, and keep learning as we go. What are effective defenses that you can kind of use in building rather than just automating. So we can make them kind of period style and with our little bit of imagined world going on. So as we're setting this up, the main threats to this style are going to be evokers and their vexes. Vexes are little. Well, you guys have seen them in the Woodland Mansion, even if you've never played the game. We did fight them there. That's how we get the totems. Evokers drop totems, but they actually spawn these little fairy-looking things. Maybe pygmies is a better term. They're nasty and mean, and they're little and hard to hit, and they can mess you up fast. So. You want to be careful, and evokers just sitting around would be able to continue to spawn those guys, and they wouldn't be limited by these higher walls. So something to keep in mind at least. Oh, I just had my bed the whole time. Great. But I guess we can drop off the dirt. Silver lining, right? That's what we're looking for. There we go, and there we go. Next green. So we'll be able to sort this out when we get back, and just piles of dirt, which actually we were just talking about it recently. Those could actually come in handy for the underwater terraforming of the bigger base. So over here, and I think 4 will do it. I don't want to just do this for fun, but I think 4 will keep us fairly safe. I think the various mobs will be kept in fairly good check there. And we'll have a pretty good chance to defend them out. So once we get this set, we'll want to I don't know, use just a bit of stone, maybe some of the brick and stone brick or something to build a little house, and then we're basically going to make it inaccessible, but it'll have beds and villagers to constitute a village. And I don't even remember how many villagers it takes to satisfy that requirement. But whatever it is, we'll get them there, and ferry them over boat style. Just breed up a few extras over at Salty Dog Village and bring them all back with us. Transfer them inside and call it good, I think. Maybe we make a water. Well, I don't want to get them stuck though. I think just having beds, we can kind of set up a gauntlet, for lack of a better word. keep bringing them in. Maybe make a fenced off run and then remove the fences. Once we get them up on top of the hill and they've got homed beds, they're not going to wander off too far. It'll just be getting them up there that will be the trick, because you can't move the boats uphill. And I don't know that they respond well to like elevators or anything. I don't know that we can force them in, maybe, but it shouldn't be too big of a problem. Just doing a bit of cleanup here. Keep this nice and tidy. So outside of the evokers and maybe the witches, once we have them contained, we should be pretty well ready to rock, I think. So I think that marks us. All the rest of that can go. Maybe to here. And we'll just have a couple different directional up points, because I don't want to lock us down. That's the side that goes back towards base, and outside of flying, which is certainly a preferred means of travel. More ideas, shaping the land. One more. So, I was going to say, somewhere down here we've got the spot where zombies had been moaning. Maybe that was it? That would be nice if it filled with as much sand as that was. Tough to see, though, when it sets that up. So this is what I was kind of thinking now is, what if from this side, rather than having this bit, we force him over a causeway. Wait, now am I going too low? Oops. All right, so they have a choke post, and we can force them to come up one at a time here, and then make this a nice broad entry point. still think we're doing decently on time. I'm prone to, yeah, only 45. I'm very prone to losing track once I start shaping. When you can move quick with the shovel, it, for me at least, becomes less of a chore and more of a, yeah, all right, that looks good. Well, what if we try that? What if we try that? And I can get a little lost in working on it. I enjoy that shaping much more than actual building. But I do like, once I get into building, I like that too. It's just, you guys have seen me with like trying to place this decorative stairs and things like that. Really a pain when they're not cooperating. So these went out. They got 2 on each side. Yep. So then let's go. Four. I don't know how this is going to work out. One, two, three, four. How far back does that go? 1, 2. Maybe we'll cheat it in on the broad side because we don't have as much room to work with there. Oh. And then this was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boop. Boop. Alright, let's go dump a load. So, as you can kind of see, this stuff's all going to get hollowed out. This is going to be a broad stairway up, and then everything has to go single file across here, and then we can kind of choke point them and pick them off with our bow as they're coming across to get to us. I think it looks pretty good for not really being defined or organized too much. Got some more stone, just enough. Get a nap, get some coffee. So needless to say, this just became a 3-episode day again. A couple of those now in a row, and I think that's a little heavy. I think, for you, the viewer, it's a little tough. That's oversaturation. You don't have as much time to. Well, I mean, maybe you do. A lot of people do. I don't think of having as much time to enjoy the content when there's that much of it. And I don't want that to be a barrier, but I get it. I get excited. I want to go and start fighting raids. And as this takes shape, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Let's see how it works. Is this gonna function the way I hoped it would, or not? And this did, my real intent was just find a faraway village and let the raiders come, fill it up with golems. They'll wreak some havoc, some villagers may go down, and hey, we get totems and we feel happy, and we've done it, and then we set up something like that. This was a new idea. It's just kind of evolved as we go here. But, something like then we'll set up something where we can have some recurring raids. And that was, kind of why I thought maybe we'd have something far away and portal back to it, just as a quick access, but out of the way. Instead, we're going to have this kind of close by. So what are we doing? 4s here? It's kind of a good thing that we left this low, because I think I now want to expand all this up to our up to our actual height. What do you guys say? Now we have sand as a question. What are we doing there? How far is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh man. Oh, that isn't what I wanted to do at all. Because I think I'm gonna have to replace those. I mean, I just got done saying how we were gonna face it with stone, maybe, but let's finish this. Then we'll just carve that side, but this will be consistent. And somewhere in this little outcrop is where I think I'd like to eventually, they come through here, you got some room for some walls and things, they get a choke point, but you've got angles to shoot at them as they're coming up. Then they come up into here, and maybe this is where we try doing some trapdoors, making them think that they're walkable blocks and letting them push one another into a pit. Then they're contained and stuck, and maybe then we have a little access to a kill chamber. Maybe we just set up some golems down there and collect the loots, put in hopper floor. All kinds of possibilities. So we'll see. See what could come. But for the first one, I think we'll just, we'll give them the opportunity. They can come up and try to thwart us from that side. Now, way over here, and again, this is kind of our area for the village itself. Way over here is going to be our other side. I think this one will kind of leave a little more open. They'll have a longer run at us. And, we'll have some other kinds of defenses over here. Oh. Really don't want to build up more of this space, right? We're not looking to create, so I'm just kind of trying to trim off wherever sand reaches up this high. We'll just try to push it back, kind of give it a little bit natural. Obviously, it's limited, right? Over there is a clear indication we're not going for untouched nature here, but for the rest, now what did we do over here? This one was 4, and then 3, it looks like. Okay, can do that. And then this will give them, if they do get knocked off, I'm not opposed to them coming back around. We, again, should be able to shoot and keep up some damage to them with the bow as they're circling around. And this is a lot of overkill, really. They're like a lot of the mobs in the game. Once you're already equipped, they're they're formidable, and you don't want to go in lightly. It's a hardcore world. We don't want to lose it. I mean, we almost lost the world to a shulker and fallen off a bridge in the end. So I'm not taking it lightly, but don't feel that this level of preparation is needed to take on a raid either. And that's part of why I'd hope to just find the situation where we could just do one. Hey, here's a pillager thing. We can get the bad omen. We can go. We don't have to do any setup. Just if it goes wrong, we can run. And if this village gets knocked out or cleared, who cares, right? That's tough, tough villaging, but that's how life goes. I don't want to risk that with my trained villagers and that kind of stuff. We're not going to bring over trading villagers to this. We'll just bring over unassigned. But we may set them up to do some trading if we're going to be here at times anyway, just to give them more story too. Maybe something where they're just buying things to acquire, to give us emeralds or something. I don't know. We're pretty well set on the librarians. I don't think we need to rehash that a whole lot more, but all right, can we get the digging done? Ooh, one more, guys. Oh, I'm really not wild about is putting holes all around. Alright. Dirts. Next to dirts. Now we'll pull out some sand. Put in the rest of the non-sand. Didn't I thought I had another non-sand. Whatever. Sand. Since we'll definitely find a use for that, more so than dirt. And the sandstone that we couldn't pick up. Tools are still okay. The shovel's getting a little beat up, but not too bad. Alright, so we want our four high little divide here. And then, again, maybe we'll do a bit more cleanup out in this corner eventually, but once I kind of get this set, and obviously it's not going to happen in this, but like I said, if I can get the digging done, that would be great. Then we should be able to set up villagers, build them a little something, get just like a safe panic room in case anything goes totally haywire, where we can hopefully regroup and get squared away and not lose the world just for the sake of doing this. But otherwise, we'll be ready to go. So maybe one more episode, but hearing the lawnmower guys fire up, I don't envy them at all on a day like today, although it's much more cloudy than I'd expected. That may be a bit of relief. Like I said, I hadn't been out. I got done with my stuff by like 7:30 this morning. I was done outdoors, and we'll reemerge later to see what all's going on out there. But and I kind of feel like that's a bit of a disservice. Like maybe I should be pushing it harder because it's next week it's gonna be down into like the upper 80s, 90, And that's going to feel so good if you acclimate. If you just hide out from it, though, you don't get that opportunity. Your body doesn't adapt, and it still feels just as hot as it ever did. So I don't know. We'll see how I go. That's the one reason I still am really resistant to turn on any AC or anything in my place. I figure at least I'm getting a bit of that uh, adaptation going on, and that's a big win, not to be discounted. Is just getting used to. This is the normal temp for a few week or a few months, a few weeks maybe. We'll see. And it'll up and down. Right? So much of the local news model is treat people like they're idiots when it comes to weather and hype up everything. And it's like, I don't know. I like to have a little faith in humanity that we're not all just morons, And it's like you can you can expect people to remember weather day to day. You can not go all alarmist every time, and just once it would be okay to say, we know you're going to tune in because you are a person, and weather kind of affects the quality of life regardless. So we don't have to sell you on that. You're going to come, and I know they kind of do, right? Because they don't want you going to the website for weather. They want you watching the newscast, and weather is one of the biggest things for attracting people to local news. Now that nobody uses them for sports, nobody uses them for news. Um, Weather is one of the few things they got, and they're gonna do everything they can to market it, and it's good and it's bad, right? I get it, and it's also least common denominator stuff. You can't talk over people's heads and just assume they're going to get it. It's kind of like when you're covering a game like this. You've got to every once in a while reset and assume people haven't been watching or people haven't necessarily played the game, even though lots and lots of people are familiar with Minecraft. You can't just assume when you say notch apple, somebody knows what you're talking about. You gotta reset every once in a while and give them a break. And so with TV weather and all that, that's another, you can't assume that everybody has decades of experience. Some people are kids trying to figure out what they're going to wear to school the next day, and they don't have dozens of summers in memory that they can relate to. So the aberrations, a week of temperatures pushing 100 degrees in June feels like that's crazy. How are we ever going to survive that? What's going on? And they just don't have the background and the experience to know, what? Actually, yeah, that's going to cool back off again, and it'll adapt back. So it's important to remember that, but it does seem like such over. I mean, you listen to them talk, and they're like, oh, it's this brutal heat wave, and they is it a record? Is it a record? A lot of the records you guys are trying to beat are like from 1892, and how accurate were those tools anyway? At that point, so let's just agree it's really hot and kind of remind people it's going to be okay. Because people get grumpy and grouchy and stuff when it's that hot out, when you can't sleep well at night, all that. I know I was kind of caught by it, and it goes back to that whole you don't want to eat when it's that hot. And I went to it was like was it 10:30? I think it was, around 10:30, and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. And I wasn't, I wasn't feeling particularly tired, but I was like, I want to get up early, and I've talked about, keep this resetting the cycle to early AM, not not normal daytime hours, because that'll be cooler. That's the times when the temps are the best. And I I got in bed, started reading, and I must have read like 150 pages, over an hour or so of The Stand, um, which I've read before. Again, that's kind of just familiar story, picking it back up again and kind of blowing through it. But I wasn't even like dozing off. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then finally, I was just like, this isn't happening. I'm not going to sleep. And the best thing I found you can do, and it seems to be consistent with like sleep experts and people that I don't have a regular issue, but sometimes you just don't sleep well, and if you just have a curious mind like I do, I hey, people say this, whatever. So one thing that I've heard over the years, if you're tossing and turning or you wake up in the middle of the night, you can't go back to sleep right away. Don't lay in bed and fight it and go, oh, I got to get to sleep, and lay there and get frustrated. Get up, do something for a little bit until you start feeling tired again, and then go back to bed. Well, that actually works pretty well, I've found. But what it doesn't do is then help you have good sleep to wake up bright and early the next morning. But fortunately, it's worked because I've talked several times about having windows open on the ground floor and noise, AC, and all that kind of stuff. And again, no breeze, so I'm like laying there like, oh man, it's cool outside. At one point, it was like this was like 12:30 or something. I'd been in bed for a couple hours, and for a bit I just like, all right, go to sleep. Try that. And that didn't work. So then I was reading, and then it was I don't know, time to I think for a while I tried to watch some YouTubes or something, and that was just that's what it was. I'd been reading, and my eyes were tired from reading because my copy of the Stand is from, I don't know, about 5-6 years after it was published. Well, when the expanded edition came out, when he got to go back and add in um, the additional content, so it wasn't like the first publication, but was back from around that kind of time. I believe. I'm thinking it was probably right around 2000 when I got my paperback copy of it, and I think this is probably my third time reading through it. So it's seen some love over the years, but it it's it's like a fairly cheap paperback, and it is. I don't often complain. I've read lots of like history texts and all that kind of stuff that are small print and all that kind of stuff. But man, the economy of that book, words per page, is crazy. That type is as fine as anything I've seen in a published book before. Because it's a huge book anyway, and to not put in multiple volumes or in a massive book, to put in like a pocket-sized paperback, it's over 1,000 pages, and they are compressed when it comes to the text. So it's great. It doesn't change the story at all. It doesn't bother me. But when you are reading it late at night, trying to go to sleep, it will slowly wear you down. But I was like not having it with the sleep, even though my eyes were getting tired, and I was like, yeah, I'm not keeping going. All right, I think this is pretty well set in terms of our point. Now we had. Did I? No, I didn't. The last note was Panda Jungle. So this is going to be our raid village Mott, Motte. We'll call it that. And it would have helped if I had pulled up the coordinates. I know it's fairly close to the tower over there, but let's just do it right here as we're wrapping up. So this is going to be 312 by 2441. And this is, I had the inkling. I was pretty sure I knew that there was a tower along here, so it wasn't out of the question. That kind of came back to me as we were flying around for me yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, I guess, and the last of the yesterday episodes. Guess I want all of this. So now, for the next, our objectives are make a structure of some kind into which villagers can be placed and bred. I think we want to have like 4 beds, at least 3 villagers, and we can make a couple. Once you have enough, then you're going to get extra cats and all that kind of stuff. We got to get into cat breeding and all that, or taming anyway, eventually too. So this will work out well. The lodge and everything does too, but that one doesn't seem to just be swarming with cats. So we'll keep working on all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we need to make a structure to put them in. We will try, and maybe we'll come over to this wider ramp. I don't know, but we'll try like through some fences and gate systems to entice them up on top of this hill with beds. Then once they get up here, all we have to do is close off the downs. They're not going to jump 4 blocks because they would take damage, so they won't just step off that. So once they're up here, they're up. Then we just set the beds, and they will come back to them in the evening. How bad are we on time now? 1:13. All right, let's wrap up. We will come back. We will finish it up. We'll light, coordinate our villager offloading system, get them up here, get them bred, constitute a village, spawn some golems, and hopefully run over there, get Bad Omen, run on back, and deal with the raid all in the next episode. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it all works out. But join us for the next one. Thanks for tuning in on this. And as always, I appreciate you guys each and every time that you drop on by and enjoy this content. I hope you enjoy it anyway. Let me know if you do with a like. Drop a comment in. Let me know what you guys think, how you approach raids. Am I going over the top? I kind of feel I am for a first raid. Like I said, typically I just go find a desert village or something if it's close enough to a tower and get it going. But I don't want to fight the raid in Salty's home place, and I don't want to have a long distance one. So longer term, this is the way to set it up. We'll be close to the tower. We'll have a village that will then be set up and don't have to worry back and forth. And if we ever had Bad Omen back at the base and didn't want to just clear it with milk, we could fly over here easily enough and fight the raid that way. So I think it's a good system. It's worth the little bit of effort for this first one. We'll fight it pretty much as you see now, just with a safe place to put the villagers, which will still attract them, but otherwise keep them safe from getting killed off, and call it good. So thanks. Take care. Take a break, and we'll see you back here for the next one. Bye now.